Mike's on.
All right, back on the Fan here. That's it. Mike's on this Tuesday program, May Day. Is you ready for a little Yankee baseball tonight? I gave you the Met lineup. I'll give you the Yankee lineup as soon as I get it. I haven't gotten it yet. The Yankees had their streak broken last night. Mets in action tonight. Cespedes is in the lineup. Got some basketball tonight. We'll get to that, too. Cleveland is an underdog to Toronto. Toronto is a better team. They're a deeper team. Cleveland stinks. But they have to prove to me that their best players will stand up to James in the fourth quarter of these games. And I'll tell you, the other day, you saw something for the first time we have ever seen that I can remember. We saw LeBron actually physically unable to compete at the highest level in the fourth quarter. Whatever it was. Now, I talked to Brini the other day, and he said it was a spasm in his leg. But clearly he was hurting. And he even took time off and sat on the bench, and they took the lead from 2-8 with him on the bench. So they actually showed up, and they are awful. I mean, they are so bad without him. But they did get a huge game from Tristan Thompson on Sunday. He came up with an enormous game after all his issues. And now, watch them be a big underdog, as they pretty much are. They're a big underdog. Now, the best thing that could happen to LeBron would be get beat before the finals this year, because he would get slaughtered in the finals. Absolutely slaughtered. And I'm telling you, I'm not a Houston fan, but I'd love to see them beat Golden State. I don't believe that anybody's beating Golden State. I'm sorry. I think it's, unfortunately, and I don't like to see them win, but I think they're going to win. But it's going to be fun to see if LeBron, how far he can take this team. Phillies, they've got the most talent of all these teams in the East, just not ready to win yet. I think we'll do some, I'll try and pop Bill Simmons up tomorrow and do some basketball with him. We'll hold a lot of basketball tomorrow and do some basketball with him. Dave in Deal starts us off. What's up, Dave?
Mike, how you doing?
Good.
Man?
What's happening, man?
Time.
Thank you.
World is back in order with you back on the radio.
Oh, thank you.
Haven't been on. Haven't listened to radio in 4 or 5 months.
Well, thank you. Welcome
not
back.
Not even talking about anyone else. It's just a matter of not having you on. It's
Welcome back.
But yeah, for sure. In any case, Jay Wright. Villanova, I mean, you hit it right on the head, Mike. I mean, I literally remember years ago people calling in on your show wanting his head.
Wanted him fired. Fired. Because he was winning 30 games and losing in the second round.
Yeah, and it's unbelievable. And even this team and this run he's at with these last few years, even from going back to the Scotty Reynolds team that went down to the Final Four, he's always built up a class, top 50, top 150, top 200 guy recruits. They're not necessarily getting those top 20 guys every year like Cal and Kay.
Yeah, but you know what he's done? So, what he's done is he's taken a page. Not only has he built the culture, he's taken a page out of Golden State's playbook.
Oh, 100%.
They all can shoot the three.
But Mike,
Pascal can shoot it. Every one of the guys can shoot the three.
When Nardi and Ray were there, he was still spreading it out with the four guards.
Yep.
Lost to North Carolina that year. North Carolina won the championship. They lost them on a bucket.
Yep. Well, they were hurt and they played the small lineup. I mean, that's what they did. But now, even his guys who were his bigs, they can shoot.
And it helped in the transition, Mike, the center becoming obsolete. That
completely.
Now so much worry about that side. But Spellman was the difference, Mike.
Spellman it was sensational. Pascal won a couple of games for him, too.
Oh, for sure.
Pascal played brilliantly, and then obviously we know what the kid did in the final. I mean, he just went off with an incredible game. The game that was the scary game was West Virginia. Because West Virginia had the athletes to give them fits, and West Virginia got a tight that night. Sorry to let you go. West Virginia got a tight whistle when the game was close, got in foul trouble, and before you knew it, they hit a couple of threes, and away they went. That was the difference. See, this Villanova team showed you they were real when they had a bad night from three and still won. In the past, they couldn't do that. Bob joins us. What's up, Bob?
Mike, great to have you back.
Thank you. What's up?
Wanted to ask you a question. It seems to me like, have you ever lived through a moment? I like Darnold as much as you did. I actually called you the day after the Rose Bowl, that first Monday. Has there ever been a moment historically between these two franchises where, in my mind, if Saquon Barkley's Eric Dickerson, he's not going to win a Super Bowl on his shoulders. Darnold can win Super Bowls. Has there ever been this confluence of two organizations, Mets, Yankees, any of them, where their histories and their future intensely linked? What I think is, for me, a franchise quarterback in the league.
There's an interesting way to look at this, okay? He's obviously right, Bob is, about the Giants taking the running back 2, and then the Jets taking what they hope is the 10 to 15-year quarterback 3. The Giants could have taken that too. The Giants decided they would stay the course and build around Eli for the next 2 or 3 years. There's no bigger Eli supporter than me. I think Eli's got 3 years where he can win a championship in it left. Okay, he keeps himself in phenomenal shape. He doesn't get hurt. He hasn't had debilitating injuries. He knows how to do it. There are certain guys who do. There was another way for the Giants to play this, but the one thing they would have given up is they would have given up a player who I think will be a very big player for them. I think that Will Hernandez will be a Pro Bowl guy every year, very quickly. I think he was one of the top jewels in the draft, and they were able to get him where they got him. Now, how could they have played this differently? They could have taken Darnold, and they could have traded up a couple of slots from where they were for Sony Michel, who I think is, if Barkley's a 9.9, he's a 9.3. I think Sony Michel is an unbelievable talent. Now he's had a knee issue, which that's an issue. But physically, he's got incredible tools. They could have done that, but then that takes Will Hernandez out of the picture. Will Hernandez is going to be, I think, a starter from Jump Street. I think he'll be a starter. The only question is what side he starts on. I think he's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be a fixture. And I think they are going to have a vastly improved offensive line. And I'm not even counting Flowers in there in the mix. If Flowers ever comes through, that's a bonus. I'm not even counting him in the mix. From what they brought in the free agency and what they did in the draft, I think they have the makings of a core they can live with. And I think this Hernandez is going to be a star. You know, I think he can be a better version of Snee. I think he's just got all the tools. Now, so they could have gone that route, but from the minute they grabbed Gettleman at 67 years of age with a guy who wasn't going to upset the apple cart because he knows the Giants, he knows he didn't need to be introduced to anything, and he could hit the ground running, and he could do it quickly, and the quickest way was to believe in Eli, and he believed in him. And yes, they did use the Philadelphia game as a big example of Eli still being able to play at a high level. I've always believed he still could too. They have a chance to have a really exciting offense. The question is, you wonder about where the pass rush is going to come from now. That's an issue. But I understand what they did. I personally don't love taking running backs that high in the draft. You know that. That's been a thing of mine. I understand that this kid is the best running back prospect in terms of everything in a long time. Some people had him as a couple of places had him as the highest grade in 7-8 years. Some guys had him as clearly as the highest grade since Luck. A lot of guys had him as the highest grade in going back to the late 90s. I mean, so the kid was, without question, a very impressive kid. We understand that in every level. There's no knock in the player. I'm just not a big believer in the running back at 2. But if you were going to be the Giants, you were not going to use Darnold for years. That was the question. And it turned out well for the Jets. Let's see how it works out. Now, can there be a point where they rue the day? Yeah, it's possible. If they're struggling on their 14th quarterback after Eli and Darnold is a superstar, well, then yes, they'll talk about that. Chris in Riverdale, what's up, Chris?
Hey, Mike, welcome back.
Thank you.
You. I saw you a couple years at Belmont with your sons. You were gracious enough to give me some time. I told you not to retire. It might be too early to ask about Mulcahy's on Sundays, or
I'm not ready on Sundays yet, so we'll talk. I'm not ready on that yet.
Okay, Mike, I'm so happy with Gettleman. I called many times with you to complain. I called the Giants office to complain. I'm so happy with Gettleman. I really like that second pick. I like the running back. I look at what Pittsburgh and the Cowboys had, especially catching the ball in the backfield, against the Cowboys killing us. I'd like to have that. And just to get back to running the ball, like you said, the pass rush, that's a question. We need a kicker as well. But to get back to Giants football and to have you back, And Tiger Woods, let's get him going, and we got everything going the right direction.
Well, I'll tell you, they have a chance to be a very explosive team. They really do. Exceptionally explosive team. Rob in Brooklyn, what's up, Rob?
Mike, how you doing?
Good, what's happening?
I'm just trying to understand something.
Go ahead.
You take a 1.5-year retirement tour, longer than Jeter, longer than A-Rod, and now here you are back 3 months later like it was just your summer vacation. Why'd you retire in the first place?
I retired because I was retired. I really left. Sometimes things happen.
I knew you weren't retiring because you said you had like other offers and stuff, and now here you are back where you started.
Hey, what's the problem?
I mean, it's problem. Other people took the job.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they were great, but
they're still here. They didn't lose their job.
No, I didn't say they lost. I mean, next year they'll lose their job when they.
Well, how do you know that? You don't know that.
But I don't understand what was your motive for leaving? I think you overplayed your hand.
I never overplayed my hand. I retired, and I meant retirement. First of all, listen, overplaying. Well, listen. I met with people who had some stuff I wanted, and what they wanted was me to come back. So I started to consider it, and I came back. That's all. That's what it is. The guy who owns the company is the guy I have a partnership with, along with another company. And one of the things he wanted as he bought the company was he said, I want to put you back on a fan. And more we talked about it. And I said, you know what? Okay. And that was it. It was not planned. It didn't go that way. I don't know what the motivation is about whether I had offers or not. I mean, that's silly. I mean, I mean, if you read the release that was written, the guy who was the number one deal maker in all of sports handled all the offers and said he had an enormous number of opportunities right in the release in a quote. Why would he do that? He doesn't have to do that. Doesn't need me. Doesn't need to say it. He put his credibility on the line there. That's what he said because it's true. But that's not the point. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not here to talk about all the offers I had. People wanted to say I didn't have any offers. That's just silly. I mean, but I don't know what the motivation of that was. I decided to come back and do this because in the talk that we had and the partnership that we built with CAA and with Intercom, that's what the owner of the company wanted me to do. It was important for him. So that's what I did. And that's what it came down to. So I understand that you retire and come back. First of all, a lot of people who retire. I never said it wasn't going to work again. And I could have gone someplace else and worked. I don't know if that would have made a difference for those who have an issue with it if I was on another station and I did this. I'm not talking about ESPN. I'm talking about another station in town, and I had a couple offers from other stations to do stuff in the afternoon and still do. The motivation in this whole thing was the app. That was the motivation. You'll see what I'm talking about as it develops. It is the thing that was the springboard for all of this. And you can follow that on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Mike's On. That's the app that we're building that will be operational by late summer. And it's going to be a connectivity from this show to that. It's Mike's On here. It's Mike's On there. And the football show, the Sunday football show, will be done on the app. It will not be done on the radio as the conventional radio that we do, like the Daily Show. We will do it on the app. And we will do a bunch of other things that we will introduce on the app also. And introduce other voices on the app. And other video things on the app. And archival stuff on the app. And some very different, I think, very interesting stuff on the app. And I think the app will be around for a very long time. That's my plan. And that's my partner's plan, which is CAA Sports and Intercom. And Intercom owns part of it, and CAA owns part of it, and I own an equal part of it. And that's how it's done, and that's what led me back here. And if you want to think something else, I can't stop you, but go ahead. But I'm telling you the truth, and, you can believe it or not, and it really isn't that important if you do or don't. But here I am. And there that is. And you can check that out, as I said, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's new for me, but all you have to do is go to those places. And I know they're all integral in how these things work. So you can go to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Mike's On and get all the information about what we're doing there. And there'll be more coming because the app will not start until late summer. We want to have it ready for the football season. It will be ready for the football season. And we're very excited about it. I am. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go do, I looked into the podcast stuff And the more I did, and I spent a lot of time early on with a bunch of podcast companies, they were very professional, very good, made very sound offers, but it was just the same thing that everyone else was doing, and I didn't want to do that. I want to try and do something different, and that's what I think we've done here with that. And the way we will make everyone aware of that is through the show. And that's the vehicle we will use to drive it, is the show. And I've always enjoyed doing the show, and now we're back doing the show. And you know what? I miss doing the show. I admit it. I did. Now, do I want to, I'm not doing it as long, which is different. I'm not doing 5.5 hours anymore. I'm doing 3.5 hours. That's different. There'll be some other things that are different, but it'll still be pretty much at the core of what we do. Talk sports, have some fun, take some calls, and we do more of that right after this.